Good morning, O'Neill, and Happy New Year! I hope everyone has enjoyed their break. I know that I did a lot of TV watching and playing games and reading books and just having fun with my family, and I hope you were able to do that as well. So this week is a shorter week. We're here Tuesday through Friday, and I really hope that we get this week in to rediscuss expectations and routines within our day. We need to make sure that we are being caring, responsible, and respectful towards our teachers and towards the other students in our class and other classes. Um, and respectful to our school. So over break, I did some stickers and in our bathrooms and in our hallways. And so I just want us to remember to be respectful to our building and take pride in our building and how clean it is and how welcoming it is. So please make sure to be respectful of that as well. And then I know some of you might be worried about getting sick. And so, it's going to happen. Most likely, you're going to either get the flu or a cold or strep throat, or you might even get this new strand of COVID. And it's okay. Don't be scared and just try to be healthy. If your family is interested in vaccine information, look into that. Otherwise, you just got to stay home. Okay? Stay home, drink some tea, have some oranges. That's what I always do. And make sure to call school. Have your parent call school to notify us of how you're feeling and what's going on. And our nurse, Ms. Godinez, is working so hard to make sure that all of that information is shared with you. Some other news is we have 2 new teachers joining us for 2022. We have Mr. Sanchez. You may know him. He was student teaching with Miss Chavez, and he will be our long-term sub for our 6th grade dual class. And so I know you know Mr. Sanchez, but please make sure to show him amazing amount of respect and welcome him back to O'Neill. Another person coming on back to O'Neill is Miss Kolmanek. She was our special ed resource teacher before Miss Pellegrino, and she has decided to come out of retirement to help us out here at O'Neill. So I think she's starting back next week. So you'll see her and welcome her back. On that note, during this week, I will be co-teaching with Mr. Sanchez in the 6th grade dual classroom. So if you need me, check me out upstairs or send a quick message. But I'm getting back to teaching this next week and hopefully be on track with Mr. Sanchez. And this week is also supposed to be very, very cold. So I want you to make sure you are bundled up. You're wearing a jacket, you're wearing a hat, you have gloves, scarf, anything like that, because before school and after school, if you're outside, it's going to be cold. And then for classroom teachers, most likely we will be doing indoor recess for majority of this week due to the weather. So please make sure you go through with your students the expectations of what they could use in the classroom and what they're able to work on. All right. Woo, that was a lot of information to start off our week. But I have a very interesting book for us this week because, I said I did a lot of reading over winter break, and I read this book called The Coffee Bean. And I love my coffee. But that's not what this book is about. It's about an outlook on life. Are we going to, change to our environment, or are we going to be the change? And so that's kind of what this book is about. So this is the kids version, The Coffee Bean for Kids. And it's a simple lesson to create positive change. And it's by John Gordon and Damon West. So let's go ahead. All right. Here we go. Are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean? What does that all mean? All right. So Gavin used to love going to school, but not this year. He and his family moved to a new city, and he had trouble making friends at his new school. Some of the kids also made fun of him because they said he talked funny. As Galvin walked into his classroom, he saw his teacher, Miss Spring, and her smile made him smile. He liked Miss Spring's class and wished everyone at school was as nice as her. When the school day was over, Miss Spring asked Gavin to stay after class. Gavin thought he was in trouble. His palms became cold and sweaty, and he could hear his own heart beating. Miss Spring said, "Gavin, I see that you're not happy. In fact, you look sad. You hardly ever smile, and when you do, it's usually only when you say hello to me before class starts. What's wrong, Gavin?" A few tears came trickling down his face. As he told Miss Spring about how hard it was to adjust to this new school and make friends. To make matters worse, his parents were fighting a lot. Miss Spring gave him a big smile and said, "I'm going to share with you one of the best lessons you will ever learn. It's going to help you make new friends and become a leader for the rest of your life." Miss Spring went to the whiteboard and drew a picture of a pot of boiling water. She then drew a carrot inside the pot. She asked, "What happens if you put a carrot into a pot of boiling water?" "You get carrot soup," Gavin said. Miss Spring smiled. "You're on the right track, Gavin, because a carrot turns soft and mushy in a pot of boiling water after a few minutes." Miss Spring then drew another pot of boiling water on the whiteboard. This time she drew a picture of an egg inside the pot. She asked, "What happened if you put an egg inside of a boiling water?" "That's easy," Gavin said proudly. "My mom and I did this at Easter. You put the eggs in the pot of boiling water to make the eggs hard, like a hard-boiled egg." "That is absolutely correct," Miss Spring said. "The soft inside of the egg turns hard after a few minutes in a pot of boiling water." Gavin looked confused. He asked Miss Spring how a picture of boiling carrots and eggs could be one of the best lessons he's ever learned. "You'll see, Gavin. I have one more example for you." Next to the pot with the carrot and the egg, she drew a third pot of boiling water. This time she drew a coffee bean inside the pot and asked Gavin if he knew what happened when you put a coffee bean in boiling water. "I have no idea," Gavin admitted. Some deliciousness comes out. That's what happens. Miss Spring exclaimed, "The coffee bean, the smallest of these three things, changed the water into coffee. You see, the power to change is inside the coffee bean." Gavin looked confused. "I don't understand what carrots, eggs, and coffee beans have to do with me fitting in or finding friends," he said. "Life is often like a pot of very hot water," Miss Spring said. "It can be harsh, stressful, and a difficult place. You will find yourself in places and situations that test who you truly are. and can change you. It can weaken you or harden you if you let them. Like all the stuff I'm going through now, Gavin asked. Exactly that, Gavin. You are feeling the pressure of fitting into school, the difficulties of finding new friends, and your parents are fighting. You are experiencing fears over things that you cannot control. And it feels like you are in one big pot of boiling water. But you do have a choice. You can be like the carrot that is weakened and softened by its surroundings. You can be like the egg that is hardened by the mean people of this world. Or you can be like the coffee bean that transforms and changes its environment. When I look at you, I don't see a carrot. I don't see an egg. I see a coffee bean who will overcome the challenges and change the world. That made Gavin smile. Do you really think I can be a coffee bean? Gavin asked. Miss Spring smiled. I know you can be a coffee bean, Gavin. In fact, I want you to remember this lesson for the rest of your life. Wherever you go and whatever you do, remember, you are a coffee bean and you have the power to transform any environment you are in. No matter how hard things get or how hopeless things appear, do not ever give up. Realize that we don't create our world from the outside in. We create and transform it from the inside out. If you think you're a carrot, you will believe the forces outside of you are stronger than you, and you'll become weaker. If you think you're an egg, you believe the mean people in the world have the power to harden your heart and cause you to become negative and angry like they are. If you know you're a coffee bean, you will not allow the outside world to affect you. You will know that the power inside you is greater than the forces outside you, and that this insight you will positively transform your world from the inside out. The power is on the inside. Be the coffee bean. Miss Spring opened a jar on her desk and pulled out a coffee bean. Keep this in your pocket as a reminder of who you are and the power you have. The best is yet to come for you, Gavin. Gavin took the coffee bean, told her thank you, and ran excitedly towards the door. Wait, Gavin, Miss Spring stopped him. There's one more thing you need to know. Coffee beans are always smiling, even on days they don't feel like it. Do you know why? So they can be happy, Gavin said. That's right, she said. It's also for other people to be happy. When people see you smiling, they will smile back. The other people will see the smiles and they'll start smiling too. Positive energy and smiling is contagious. Just like when I greet all of the kids coming in my door every morning. I'm being a coffee bean, so you will all be positive little coffee beans too. Coffee beans attract other coffee beans. So go now, Gavin. Be the coffee bean, she said. And Gavin ran to the door. When Gavin's mother picked him up from school, she noticed how happy and excited he was. She asked him what was different, and so he told her all about the coffee bean. From now on, Mom, I'm going to be a coffee bean. The next day at school, Gavin was all smiles. He noticed that it was working. Other kids were smiling back at him. When he got to Miss Spring's class, she high-fived her and gave her a huge grin. Miss Spring knew he was feeling the awesome power of being a coffee bean. At the end of the week, the snow cone truck came to school. Many of the kids rushed out to buy one. Gavin was standing in line for his snow cone and noticed a kid was standing alone. He had an idea. He went over to Miss Spring and asked if he could use his snow cone money to buy the other kid a snow cone. Miss Spring smiled and told him that it would be absolutely okay, that it is definitely a coffee bean thing to do, she told him. Gavin was a little nervous about meeting a kid, but he went over to the boy and introduced himself. Before he could say a word, the boy smiled back and stuck out his hand. "Hi, my name is Michael," he said. "What is your name?" This was easier than Gavin thought. Michael was really friendly. Gavin shook Michael's hand. "I'm Gavin," he replied. "Do you want a snow cone?" Michael kept smiling and nodding, and his head up and down. "I love snow cones," he said. Gavin and Michael walked to the snow cone truck to buy Michael a snow cone. Gavin didn't get to eat a snow cone because he only had enough money for one. But the best treat of all was watching how happy Michael was eating his snow cone. Wow, Gavin thought to himself, being a coffee bean feels good. A few days later, Gavin was at lunch sitting quietly by himself, like he always did. But even though no one else sat next to him, he was not sad. In fact, he was smiling, just like Miss Spring told him to do. As he was opening his lunch, he noticed a girl standing next to him. "Hi, I'm Clara. Do you want to sit with my friends and me?" she asked. Gavin couldn't believe it. Clara was one of the smartest girls in school, and they were in Miss Spring's class together. But they never had talked to each other before. Now she was asking him to sit with her and her friends. Sure, he said. Clara walked Gavin to the table where she ate with her friends. She introduced Gavin to each one of them. "Gavin, these are my friends, Peter, Maya, Priya. Everybody, this is Gavin." Everyone smiled and said hello. As soon as Gavin sat down, all the kids took turns talking to him. He barely had a chance to eat his lunch because there was so much conversation. Gavin could not believe his luck. Until today, he had no friends. Now he had a table full of new friends. When the table got quiet, he asked Clara, "Why is everybody being so nice to me?" All the kids at the table looked at Clara. She smiled and said, "We noticed you've been smiling a lot and looking for ways to help others. Like the other day when you bought Michael a snow cone. That was very kind. My mother tells me that all the time that being kind is the best thing you can be and that it's a choice. We are always looking for other kind kids to be our friends." Gavin knew he had made his new friends because of his choice to be a coffee bean. "I'm a coffee bean," he said. "It sounds like you're all coffee beans too." The kids looked confused. So Clara asked Gavin what it meant to be a coffee bean. Gavin told everyone at the table about the lesson Miss Spring taught him, about the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean, and about how being a coffee bean would attract other coffee beans and create positivity. It's a good long book. That gave Clara an idea. Gavin is something we should share with all the kids at school. In fact, we could start a coffee bean club and go find other coffee beans. We can turn this whole school into one big pot of coffee. After school, Clara and Gavin talked to Miss Spring about the coffee bean club. Miss Spring thought it was a great idea, and they agreed the club would meet before school started. Clara, Gavin, and their friends began telling everyone about the first coffee bean club meeting. They made flyers and went around telling kids every grade about the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean. At lunch the day before the first meeting, they even made coffee bean song. A song. Should I sing it? I don't know. We'll see. When the morning of the first meeting finally arrived, Clara and her mom, Miss Kendall, arrived at Miss Spring's classroom extra early with some healthy snacks they had made the night before. When the kids started arriving, Miss Spring was all smiles as usual. Everyone was surprised by how many kids showed up for the first meeting of the Coffee Bean Club. Gavin was so excited to see Michael show up too. Hey, Gavin, my mom said I could be a coffee bean too, Michael said proudly. Miss Spring started the meeting by telling everyone the main goals of our club are to be kind to everyone and to always be positive. Next, Miss Spring told students that they needed to come up with rules for the Coffee Bean Club. Clara raised her hand. I think the first rule should help others, she said. This means that you could look for carrots and eggs and try to help them become coffee beans too. The kids clapped in approval, so Miss Spring wrote on the board, Rule number 1, help others. That kind of sounds like being caring, one of our rules. Gavin raised his hand next. Include everybody, he said. This means that everyone who wants to be in the club can join. It also means that when someone wants to join in and play a game or sit at your lunch table, that they can do that too. More coffee beans make our pot of coffee stronger. Again, the kids clapped in approval. They added a second rule to the board. Rule number 2, include everyone. That kind of sounds like being respectful to people. That's one of our O'Neill rules too. Maya was called on next. The third rule should be to smile because smiles are like boomerangs, she said. When you smile, it always comes back to you. Smiling at someone and they smile back. Smiles make me happy, said Michael, as Miss Spring wrote on the board, rule number 3, smile. That's kind of being responsible and respectful. Even though we have masks on, you can still smile and see your eyes shining. After the last 3 rules of the Coffee Bean Club were on the board, Clara raised her hand. Miss Spring, we made a song for the club. Can we sing it? She asked. Of course you can, Miss Spring said. How exciting. Clara, Gavin, Peter, Maya, Priya, and Michael all went to the front of the room and began to sing. I am a coffee bean. You'll see what I mean. Carrots are good for your sight, but get soft when things don't go right. Eggs are a great source of protein. Boiled in water, they get hardened and mean. I won't be a carrot or an egg. I'll just be a coffee bean instead. I may be the smallest of the 3, but put me in water and you'll see that I am a coffee bean. The room erupted with cheers and clapping. Then the kids started chanting, coffee beans, coffee beans, coffee beans. The Coffee Bean Club made their mission to find other coffee beans all over their school. They wrote positive notes to students who seemed to be having a tough time, and they engaged in random acts of kindness. Over the course of the rest of the school year, it was clear to all that the Coffee Bean Club positively changed the school. In fact, the club became so big that they had to hold their monthly meetings in the gymnasium. Everyone wanted to be in the Coffee Bean Club. Everyone wanted to be a coffee bean. It was no longer cool to be negative or mean. Instead, it became cool to be a coffee bean and help others. The end. Whew. Well, that was a little bit long, but I hope you understand the message that, things are going to happen. Things around us are out of our control. There's a lot of things that can bring us stress or negativity, and we can either become weak and just shrivel up and let it happen to us. We can get hard and mean and just, hurt others. Or we can be the coffee bean and make our environment even better than it was. So I hope you choose to be a coffee bean instead of a carrot or an egg. And I hope you have a terrific Tuesday.